He's just being dramatic. My mother-in-law's dismissive laugh crackled through the phone. Besides, Sophia's runway debut is a once-in-a-lifetime event. I couldn't miss it for a simple fever. I gripped my phone tighter, trying to process what I was hearing while sitting in my hospital gown, minutes away from being wheeled into surgery. Margaret, you were supposed to watch Oliver. He's sick with a 102-degree fever. I trusted you. Oh, please, Natalie, she interrupted, the sounds of excitement and camera shutters in the background. He's 6, not a baby. I left him plenty of snacks, and his iPad is charged. Sophia needs her mother here for her big moment. My name is Natalie Weber, and at 32, I never imagined I'd be dealing with this nightmare scenario. I was about to have emergency gallbladder surgery, and my mother-in-law had just abandoned my sick child to attend her daughter's fashion show. The nurses are coming, I said, my voice shaking with a mixture of fear and rage. We'll discuss this later. I hung up before she could respond and immediately dialed my neighbor, Emma. Please pick up, I whispered as the call connected. Natalie? Aren't you supposed to be in surgery? Emma's warm voice answered on the third ring. Emma, I need help. Oliver is alone at home. My mother-in-law left him to go to a fashion show. He's sick with a fever, and I'm about to go into surgery. Could you please? I'm already putting my shoes on, she cut in, her tone shifting from concerned to determined. I'll get him and bring him to my place. Don't worry about anything except getting better. Tears of relief streamed down my face. Thank you. The spare key is under the turtle planter, I remember. Now focus on yourself. Oliver will be safe with me. As I ended the call, the nurses arrived to prep me for surgery. My mind raced with thoughts of Oliver, alone and sick in our house. James, my husband, was away on a business trip in Seattle, unreachable during a crucial presentation. I had no choice but to ask Margaret for help when the gallbladder attack hit. All prepped for surgery, the nurse asked, checking my vitals. Your blood pressure's a bit high. My mother-in-law just left my 6-year-old home alone to attend her daughter's fashion show, I said, wiping away angry tears. The nurse's hands stilled on my chart. She did what? She exchanged shocked looks with her colleague. Do you need us to call someone? My neighbor's handling it, I assured her, though my heart was still pounding. She's getting him right now. As they wheeled me toward the operating room, my phone buzzed with a text from Emma. Got him. He's safe with me. Fever's down to 100. Rest easy and get better. We'll handle everything else later. I closed my eyes, relief washing over me. Oliver was safe. Now I could deal with the surgery, and after that, I would handle Margaret. The anesthesiologist began his countdown, and as consciousness slipped away, I made a silent promise to myself. This was the last time Margaret would ever have a chance to hurt my family. 4 hours later, I awoke in the recovery room to find several missed calls from Margaret. No voicemails, no texts apologizing for abandoning my sick child. Just missed calls that had probably been made to defend her actions or minimize what she'd done. There was also a text from James. Just saw Emma's message. What happened? Called Mom, but she's not picking up. I'm booking the next flight home. Emma had sent me hourly updates about Oliver, complete with photos of him resting on her couch, watching movies with her kids, and finally falling asleep after his fever broke. She was an angel, the kind of person who restored your faith in humanity just when others were destroying it. I thought back to when I first met Margaret, how she'd seemed so warm and welcoming. But that facade had cracked soon after James and I married. Every decision I made was wrong, every boundary I set was controlling, and her daughter Sophia could do no wrong. Sophia, my 23-year-old sister-in-law, was Margaret's pride and joy. A wannabe model who'd never held a real job, she lived at home and spent Margaret's money on designer clothes and professionally shot Instagram photos. Today's fashion show was for a local boutique, hardly the Milan runway. But Margaret had been treating it like the event of the century. My phone buzzed again. Another call from Margaret. This time, I picked up. Finally, she exclaimed. I've been trying to reach you for hours. You'll never believe it, but Sophia got offered a contract with. Did you check on Oliver? I interrupted, my voice hoarse from the breathing tube but firm. Oh, he's fine, she dismissed. I told you he was just being dramatic. But listen, Sophia. Margaret, I cut in again, stronger this time. You left my 6-year-old child alone while he was running a fever of 102. He could have gotten worse. He could have needed emergency care. Anything could have happened. Don't be so dramatic, Natalie, she scoffed. You're starting to sound like Oliver. He gets that from you, you know. James was never such a needy child. My hand tightened around the phone. Margaret, what you did wasn't just irresponsible. It was negligent. It was dangerous. And it will never happen again. What's that supposed to mean? It means we're done. You will never be left alone with Oliver again. Ever. She gasped. You can't do that. I'm his grandmother. I have rights. You lost those rights the moment you decided Sophia's local fashion show was more important than Oliver's safety. I have to go now. The nurse is here. It wasn't true. No nurse had arrived. But I couldn't stomach another moment of her excuses. I hung up and blocked her number, then closed my eyes, exhausted but certain I'd made the right decision. A text from James popped up. Got on earlier flight. Landing in 3 hours. We need to talk about Mom. Yes, I thought we certainly did. And this time, things would be different. This time, I wouldn't back down. James arrived at the hospital looking exhausted, his suit wrinkled from the rushed flight. His face was etched with worry as he entered my room. How could she do this? He asked, sinking into the chair beside my bed. I've been trying to wrap my head around it the whole flight, but I just can't understand. Before I could respond, my phone lit up with a text from Emma. Heads up, your MIL just showed up at my house demanding to see Oliver. I told her to leave or I'd call the police. She's heading your way. I showed James the message, watching his expression darken. She's completely lost it, he muttered, running a hand through his hair. As if on cue, Margaret burst into the room, Sophia trailing behind her with a sulky expression. This is ridiculous, Margaret announced, waving her hands dramatically. Emma wouldn't let me see my grandson, and she threatened to call the police on me. Good, James said, standing to face his mother. Because what you did was practically criminal. Margaret's face reddened. Oh, not you too. I expected this hysteria from Natalie, but you're my son. You know I would never hurt Oliver. But you did hurt him, Mom, James shot back. He was sick and scared, and you left him alone to go to a fashion show. A fashion show? He turned to Sophia. And you were okay with this? Sophia shrugged, not looking up from her phone. Mom said he was fine. Besides, this was my big break. I just got offered a contract with. I don't care if you got offered a contract with the Queen of England, James interrupted. Nothing justifies leaving a sick child alone. Oh please, Margaret scoffed. When you were 6, I left you alone all the time, and you turned out fine. The room fell silent. James stared at his mother, something shifting in his expression. Is that supposed to make this better? He asked quietly, admitting you neglected me too. Margaret's face fell. I didn't. That's not what I. Get out, I said, my voice firm despite my post-surgery weakness. Both of you. Now. But my contract. Sophia started. Out? James shouted, making both women jump. After they left, James slumped back in his chair, looking defeated. I'm so sorry, he whispered. I knew Mom could be difficult, but I never thought. It's not your fault, I assured him, reaching for his hand. But we need to make some changes. Real ones, not just temporary boundaries she'll trample over in a week. He nodded, squeezing my hand. I know, and I support whatever you think is best. Oliver's safety comes first. Just then, Emma sent another update. Oliver's fever is completely gone. He's playing Mario Kart with my kids and asking when he can see his mom and dad. I showed James the message, watching him smile despite everything. Emma's been amazing through all this, he said. Unlike my own family. She's what real family should be, I agreed. Speaking of which, we need to talk about Christmas. James groaned. Mom's already been planning it. She's invited half the neighborhood to show off Sophia's modeling photos. Well, she can show them to whoever she wants, but we won't be there. I think it's time we started our own traditions. Before James could respond, my phone buzzed with a series of texts from Margaret. This is all being blown out of proportion. I demand to see my grandson. Sophia is devastated that you've ruined her big moment. James, call me immediately. Your wife is turning you against your own family. I handed the phone to James, watching his jaw clench as he read the messages. Without a word, he blocked his mother's number on my phone, then did the same on his. Enough, he said firmly. She can't keep doing this to us. To Oliver. A knock at the door interrupted us. It was my doctor with my discharge papers. As she reviewed my post-surgery care instructions, I caught James typing on his phone. "What are you doing?" I asked after the doctor left. "Emailing our lawyer," he replied, not looking up. "I want to know our options for a restraining order, just in case. And I'm documenting everything that happened today." I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. This was the support I needed. A husband who put our son's safety above his mother's feelings. Later that evening, as we drove to Emma's to pick up Oliver, James turned to me at a red light. "You know Mom's going to tell everyone we're horrible people for cutting her off. She'll play the victim, and Sophia will help her." "Let them," I said, surprising myself with how little I cared. Anyone who believes abandoning a sick child is okay isn't someone we need in our lives anyway. The light turned green, and as James accelerated, I felt stronger than I had in years. Sometimes it takes a crisis to show you who people really are, and who you really are. Margaret had shown her true colors, but I found my strength. And I knew, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of pink and gold, that this was just the beginning of our story. The hard part wasn't over. But for the first time, I was ready for whatever came next. 1 month after the incident, we were still dealing with the aftershocks of Margaret's actions. As predicted, she launched a full-scale campaign to paint herself as the victim, flooding social media with tearful posts about ungrateful children and grandparents' rights. What she didn't expect was Emma's response. "I've been quiet long enough," Emma announced one morning, showing me her phone. She posted the complete story on our neighborhood Facebook group, the same one where Margaret had been spreading her lies. Emma included screenshots of text showing the timeline: Margaret abandoning Oliver, my emergency surgery, and her later attempts to minimize what she'd done. The community's reaction was swift and decisive. Margaret's carefully crafted image as the doting grandmother crumbled overnight. How dare she leave a sick child alone? I'm removing her as president of the garden club. And she had the nerve to play victim. Margaret's response was predictable. She showed up at our door, mascara running down her face. "You've ruined everything," she screamed. "The garden club was my life. And now Sophia's modeling contract is in jeopardy because the boutique owner saw the posts." James, who'd been working from home since the incident, appeared behind me. "You ruined everything yourself, Mom." The truth was bound to come out eventually. "The truth?" She scoffed. "The truth is you've both turned my grandson against me. Sophia's career is destroyed, and it's all your fault." "No," I said firmly. "Oliver isn't turned against you. He's protected from you. There's a difference." "Protected?" "He needs his grandmother. He needs adults he can trust," James countered. "You lost that trust when you left him alone and sick to attend a fashion show." It wasn't just a fashion show. Sophia appeared behind Margaret, her face red with anger. It was my big break, and now everyone's canceled my contracts because they don't want the drama. I felt a strange calm as I looked at them both. The mother-daughter duo who'd caused so much pain yet still couldn't see beyond themselves. "Actions have consequences," I said simply. "You're both experiencing that now." "This isn't over," Margaret threatened. "I'll sue for grandparents' rights." James stepped forward. "Actually, it is over. Our lawyer sent you cease and desist papers this morning. Check your mail." As they stormed off, I turned to James. "You really sent those papers?" He nodded. "After what Emma told me this morning, I had to." "What did Emma tell you?" "Apparently, Mom tried to pick Oliver up from school yesterday. Told the office she was his grandmother and had permission. Thankfully, Emma was there volunteering and stopped it." My blood ran cold. Margaret had tried to take Oliver without our knowledge. Everything we'd done to protect him had been justified. 2 weeks later, we sat in our lawyer's office, reviewing the restraining order we'd filed. Margaret's attempts to take Oliver from school had backfired spectacularly. The school's security footage provided clear evidence of her escalating behavior. "The order's been granted," our lawyer confirmed. "She can't come within 500 feet of Oliver or attempt to contact him. Any violation will result in immediate legal action." That evening, as we sat on our back patio watching Oliver play with Emma's kids, I felt the last piece of tension leave my body. The sound of children's laughter filled the air, and the setting sun cast a warm glow over our small but genuine family. "I got an interesting call today," James said, sipping his coffee. "Dad finally reached out." My heart skipped. James's father, divorced from Margaret for 20 years, had been notably quiet throughout this ordeal. "What did he say?" "He apologized. Said he should have warned us years ago about Mom's behavior. Apparently, she did similar things when I was young. He just didn't have the courage to stop her then." I watched Oliver chase fireflies with his friends, his laughter pure and untainted by adult drama. "Well, we had the courage. That's what matters." James squeezed my hand. "You know what else Dad said? He'd like to meet Oliver, properly this time, without Margaret's influence." I smiled. "I like that. Life has a way of showing you who people really are, sometimes in ways you never expected." Margaret's true colors were revealed not just to us, but to everyone who mattered. And in losing her, we gained something more valuable: peace, security, and the knowledge that we'd done the right thing for our son. Emma joined us on the patio, bringing a plate of cookies for the kids. "Best decision we ever made," she said, nodding toward the playing children. "Choosing our own family." She was right. Family isn't just about blood. It's about trust, respect, and putting children's needs first. Margaret never understood that, but we did. And in the end, that made all the difference. As the fireflies danced and the children played, I knew we'd written our own happy ending. Not the one Margaret would have chosen, but the one Oliver deserved. And really, that's all that ever mattered.